1, 2. One, two. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Cool. Let me know if you can hear me, audio works and all of that stuff. Got a couple of sessions here. 1, 2, 3. Just gonna this one, this one, this one. Cool, got a few people on. You guys can hear me okay? Cool, excellent. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3. Sometimes the name can help with that one, but you know it's all fine. Zip, yeah, they all seem pretty good size. Unzip that one as well. That's no good. Something's going on. If that's going to work or not. Hopefully it is. Yeah, so there's just one that came in a bit late just over the lesson. So ideally, just getting it in a little bit earlier so I can test everything, you know, if things don't work. I think just setting it up for making it easy for whoever's opening it. You know, not just me. People like it. No space left. That's going to be a problem. Let's delete that one. Great. Delete that one. Got all the sounds going on. Hopefully that gives us enough space to get this working. Oh man, that sucks. What can I get rid of? All right. That one's a big one. Anyway, so here we go. Yeah, so this is the first one. Yeah, I mean, the grouping is good. We've got strings, synths, rhythms, that's good. I don't need any of this. That's not very useful to me. And I probably don't need to put them in there as well. I've already got this, so I would suggest just selecting what you do want to send that to that. Just select what you do want, and I'll export selected tracks as new session, audio files, and that should pretty much do just what you need. And then I can import the AAF as needed. Yep, I think. there's a lot there, and I think you've done a lot of things. Intro, it's some good elements in there. I like it. Definitely gives us some things to try for a temp mix. Overall, well, the directors in the end just went for ambience, I think. So, you know, just trying things out is really good. Seeing what does work and what doesn't. Some reverb, reversing, all of that kind of thing going on. Good. I really like there was a sound in here that sounded. I think this pitch thing sounded great. I really liked that personally. And if anything, it sounds a little like the piano comes out of nowhere, I think. Got this string, so just as far as the sequence, maybe it might help to be able to have some kind of peppering a bit of the piano timbre through a bit earlier. It might just make it feel a bit like it doesn't come out of nowhere, but what you've done is quite good. Cool, I like that. Yeah, piano. Okay, how the timing landed on, boom, on that cut. I mean, I'll show you, like, I want to have another week on this as well, but I'll just do a couple of things as we go as well. Sometimes I've got a, I don't know, sensitive ear to sound, like digital, like instrument libraries and stuff like that, when they sound a little bit maybe quite clean. So that one feels quite clean to me. Just still nice. Just a bit of that. Sometimes I just try and gritty things up. I don't know. You can even do a good old, you know, reverse, reverb, reverse. That might not. Hang on, I stuffed that up. Reverse, reverb. Yeah, cool. Yeah. But we can do this a little bit in mixing. So it's actually good to have slightly, for the mixer, to be a bit on the slightly dry end of things, because you just don't know how it's going to work in, you know, big theater. It might soften it out. So if you soften it out too much, then it ends up just being a soupy mess. So if you're going to add reverbs, sometimes, you know, duplicate it out like this. So you've got the clean. Oh, that's you've done it. Yeah, so that's a reverb, and that. Great. So I'm just going to mute that one. And maybe a bit longer. That sounds a bit too. Maybe a bit more of a delay echo to it. Yeah, that's really good. What's this one? Cool, and then it's great. You've got this different layer there, and personally, for me as a director, this is you guys making up your own minds in the mix. I really like that sound. I reckon that it'd sound great in the mix, and even playing around with that a little bit more. So it's just extending it out, even like Paul's time stretch it out. So it's just like the same note holding this tension for the scene. Something like that. But I think it's got a really nice grain in there that hits that. It really binds for me to what's going on for her. But I like the percussiveness of it as well. So yeah, some really good things. Like just throw heaps of stuff out there and just try stuff, and we'll do it like a temp mix and just see how things float. I guess it comes down to perceptual in the end. It's like you can have the best sounds, you can have like the best approach, all of that. It doesn't matter. It's just like as long as you're hitting the right points with the story. If you're not telling the right story, you know, we're not a science here. We're trying to tell stories in the end. Cool. That's good. Ready. That's great. Oh, I kind of like that one. It's got this dissonance in there. And right in there. Anyone, yeah, like dissonance is just two notes that just play two notes, and if they sound good together, it's kind of nice and harmonious. Two notes together, and they just sound crappy together. It's like it's kind of dissonant, quite tense. So I mean, you can get a lot of just by getting two notes and just playing around with what sounds nice, what sounds off. That's like a pretty basic approach to kind of hunting around for notes on your keyboard. That's really good, yeah. And then like if we needed to extend that out, vary speed, and let's just do like a 50% copy. Maybe you want to just start with a bit more of an even. This might just introduce a little bit of it. Bit of that kind of I like it when sometimes strings and all of that, they're just playing kind of tonal and it kind of fits into the background. And maybe in our background edit, if we really open up all of that in that pass, maybe there's a sound in there which we can kind of blend them into one another, and then it's just like all working together as one. But yeah, some really cool sounds there. Here's our so we get this like nothing here requires a PhD in musical theory, but some really good choices of sounds. So even this slowly increasing speed, it feels it's great. It just feels like might be the dryness of it. Feels quite clean. Or maybe it's just like a bit of a maybe that one. Yeah, it feels strange to me a little with the increase of the speed, but what's ways around that? Yeah, maybe just a bit more, just playing around and see. It's getting on radar a little bit as it feels slightly wonky. There's also just getting a few more fades in there. I'm hearing a few clicks, so sometimes I just like drag over it and press F, and you just get some of those on there. Maybe it's just like one part of it. Let's have a listen. Yeah, or maybe it's just we're just going to group this one and mute it. Maybe it's a bit. I like the simplicity of this one. Look, we could just maybe do that slower pace and then a bit of a gap and then boom, 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 then the discovery. So I don't know, that could work. You know, even duplicate that out, slow it down, and you can get a bit of a slow it down by 50%. It's all speeding up, not quantized, but that's all right. Just get them in. Also a little bit with music edit, sometimes it often comes in quite late in the process, so I'm often a little bit more forgiving with using inserts because it's not going to blow out as much, but even still, so I'm getting a little bit of a kind of sculpt things out a bit with this. Yeah, it's just doing a bit more playing. I think you got some really good points there. Actually, maybe just go dark, far, chorusy, stereo width. All right. And you can then turn that up. Or, so now we've got that, you kind of got the settings as you're going. If you do want to bake it in because you're going to send it to a different mixer, especially old people might not have this, where they're stuck in their plugins from the 90s. Whoops, not that one. So you can, that's the insert there. So got that there, and then you can open up the audio suite. Cool, and copy, paste, render. So cool, then we've got that in there. Get rid of that, and then we've got the reverb there and the reverb there. You can copy, paste the settings, chuck the reverb on there. So that should all be exactly the same. And now we've got no plugins running. So sometimes I do a bit of that if you need to transfer it over. We've got these synths as well. Cool. Yeah, yeah, you can copy them across. Getting some, what's going on? Something getting here, and another drum through there. Oh, maybe it's these ones. Ah, yeah. Yeah, they're good. You know, and then it's like you can even, another little thing you can do, it's like, I use all this a bit more in music mixing. I probably won't do it as much with effects mixing, you know, reverbs and all of that. And then I use Saturn, but there's other, I don't know, just like air distortion or whatever it's with Pro Tools, but like it sounds a little clean. It's like, okay, that's nice. Let's just see what happens if we start to get some textures. Copy. Oh man, my brain is not functioning. Satin. Paste. So sometimes just taking a cool sound and messing with it, seeing what happens, might be interesting. So we've got those as a good placeholder, and I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. I might be pushing this all a little bit harder, but I guess if anything, I'm just trying to show you like by having stems, you can completely change what's there just by using a bit of editing. I'm pretty sure Resner even uses Pro Tools for a lot of his stuff. He's he was a poster boy there for tools. Yeah, and then you're doing your volume ramp, which is cool. Yeah, lock it in. That, and even manipulating that one. Sure, why not? Let's go satin. Let's just try something stupid. Slammed, and then I don't know, pitch it. I always use Varispeed. It should be on a automatic. Let's just go 200, pitch it up, copy that, okay, and just maybe we can get a little bit of like another texture kind of coming in underneath it. I don't even know what it's going to sound like. I'm just using the same basic tools. Yeah, just getting different textures so you can open it all up as you're going. But yeah, some really good stuff in there. Nice one. Let's open up another one. Cool. So I already did this with Gene's one, but just getting the outputs going, and you know, video files missing and all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just again, just I mean, so I don't know quite what's happening. We've got some notes, which is good. Don't need that. Let's go back and get the AF in. So you're at 1 hour, that's all right. Cool. Move that up. So it's a little, I mean, importing this into a session, someone's going to have to tidy it up somehow. Just trying to avoid having plugins on. I mean, that's not even doing anything by the looks of it. But yeah, they're just going to blast it anyway. So just imported the stems in, but it's just nice to have it all as a even just like block it out like that. VMX. Or you can make it in separate groups as well if you want. In that last one, maybe you've got 3 groups. You've got more percussive, more strings, synths. And then it's kind of like 3 different approaches almost as well. So it might be nice to show versioning as well. The other thing to maybe try here is if there's something you don't want to play in your first thing, just mute it with this. So select it and Command M. It's the benefit of having a Pro Tools session over just importing in files. So all of that. So when they just go through and just go, okay, boom, unmute everything, it's just like, oh man, even just by accident, it's still just as it is, you know. So if you just meticulously gone through and, you know, even done your levels there and you've done a thing there, it's like, you know, you import that into a session, no one's going to know that's there. And they're probably even just going to come through and blast it all away anyway. And you just get rid of them. They'll might even import it all the session data and just not even import it. Yeah, import it. That's good to have there. And then just as far as getting the outputs going again, for anyone that's not sure, I mean, we've got our playback engine set up, just IO. Sometimes there's just like 5,000, you know, buses and everything like that, and they've got their own setup. Look, if I'm just doing a review, I'll probably just you can just go through and just delete everything, and then just make one new output. Yeah, default assignments, just go out, whatever. In the bus, it's going to go straight out to the mapping to the output as well. And then all you need to do is option, which will do this to every track. Click output. And that's just everything. You just wiped it all. We're just testing it. Again, just like I think when files are flying everywhere, if you've got down the bottom, you know, 3 masters, 2, you know, all these auxiliaries and everything flying around everywhere, it's just like, oh man, I don't even know what's going on. So sometimes just keep it simple. All right. Yeah, and then probably just like MX. Yep. VCA MX music is what it stands for. Yep. And then later on, when I have my masters, say we've got it'll be probably an auxiliary master. So all the music going out, I'll probably call it MX. So for M equals master. You know, just, I mean, that's my shorthand to whatever works for you. All right, let's have a little listen. Cool. Some nice sounds there, some contact instruments, nice. Ah, I put that sub on, the EQ on, just to see what this frequency was. Now I remember. Opened it up. I was like, what are we hitting? So it's quite low. It's good. It might go a bit unnoticed with a lot of other, with the majority of people's listening. So if it is important, sometimes just getting some harmonics over it could be good. I mean, I'd probably do it with just getting another sound, but sometimes a bit of distortion or something might get some harmonics in there maybe, but actually I'll just try and do it here. Some upper harmonics. Let me just get Saturn, whatever. Just a couple of tools. See if we can even get some. Yeah, so you start to get that rattle in the top end. It often works. Okay. Cool. So now we've got full low lows. Maybe some you can't even hear that, and then you've got a little bit, you know, just tickling the upper frequencies a bit more. You know, doing a similar thing, getting a bit of a clip off at the end, so just be aware of clicks. I just, you know, even just tiniest little fade or something, especially if you're processing and all of that, and with low frequencies, it's just going to click all around the place, so just be aware. Cool. You know, that might be a good thing to kind of bring in. It's great. would say for me personally, maybe feels a bit like some really good elements. Shit. There you go. I'm having a look. Yeah, so this is in time with the heading. So let's play it. Yeah, it's great. And what's great about the elements is, I mean, this is just my taste. It's really good. Maybe taking out that one. You know, just like, yeah, you just got stuff to play with the director and in the mix as well. You know, is it going too hard? Can we just mute things out? And even that, you know, strip it back until that could work. You know, that could work too. Or as you add it. It's a lot. It does feel like a lot to me, but I can't remember if I've been doing much editing to this, but let's just have a listen through to some. Cool. Some really good sensations going on there. Loving it. Got some absinthe and some reverse. And it's kind of like a whooshy thing in there. It's great. Just build up of texture. Yeah, you said pick one, but I'll do a pass in the, you know, later stages of the edit. Kind of signing off. I often do an effects and music signing off with the director before we go into the mix, just so they are happy. It's like, are you guys happy with what's there? Is it doing what you want? Have we got the ingredients that we need to be able to make this work? And they might just be like, oh no, maybe you've missed the point. It's all about her feeling happy or something, you know, and, you know, then you can kind of find something that works with it. So yeah, signing off, I often try and do a whole session where I'll do a save as, and I'll just mute every single thing they've signed off on until, or, you know, just get the whole pass, and until they're happy with all the elements, I won't even start mixing, kind of thing, because it's just like, who knows what the ingredients are going to be. This is... Whoop. Great. John, I think I can hear my audio coming through. Thanks, man. I might have done this one. I can't remember. Oh no, you did it. Some great textures here, pianos and everything. I'm loving it. Yeah, good few choices. Love it. Like, by having just heaps of different, a variety of things. I mean, like, having too many things is going to just be like, you're making the editor's job hard, but so focusing him in a bit. But I like it how by throwing out lots of ideas, I become less precious about the one thing. It's like if you delete one thing and you've only got one thing, you're like, oh shit, there's nothing left. But if you throw out a few things, it might be all starting points. Oh yeah, and there's some things all the way through again. It's in a really nice mood going with all of this. It's like really good. So I'm just focusing in on that. There's a feeling there, and it's like I don't think anything is crazy virtuoso or anything, but it takes like this. I can see you sitting with the instrument and trying to get something out of it by listening, which is really nice, really good. call response kind of feeling there. And like, again, you can just, in the mix, you know, stretch things out, play around. Cool, yeah, we're getting this disappearing kind of thing. It's articulating this swell of, you know, realization, you know, what's into it, what's in it there. Feels wrong. Need to pick one. Cool. That's like borderline sound effects and composition, but it's like fine to be anywhere. It's like such that crossover. It's good. I wouldn't care if it's in either category. Some really good stuff. I think just being able, pointing out when things do still feel wrong for you. That's probably like the starting point, you know, even in life or anything like that. If you can figure out what's going wrong, what's not right, and then you can start to kind of work and play around with how to fix it up. So, you know, if it feels wrong, what's the main purpose here? Is it to make it feel tense, you know, they're having a tense conversation, or is it meant to feel like she's meant to feel dizzy because she's hallucinating, or, you know, what, just trying to figure out what we're trying to articulate, what we're trying to bring in. Maybe we're just looking for this pace, like her mind's racing, and just try it all out. So it's got a little bit more of a spiritual, ethereal, like it's all like up in her head and she's having this moment, this almost transcendental moment. That's what I'm getting out of it. And this is dark. It feels darker. Semi-triumphant. Yeah. That's a lot of the different things. Yeah. Kind of like. And this one feels quite comforting. A bit more comforting, maybe. Yeah. So often when you, so we've got comforting, we've got ethereal, and we've got strangely. It's got a kind of retro-ish feel to it as well. And slightly triumphant. So often if you're mixing too many different ingredients, it can get a little bit mixed up. So it's like if you put a really happy sound and then a really sad sound, it might just turn into like a marsh, or it might be deliciously melancholy. So yeah, just sometimes look at the ingredients and see what you bring it back to, what you're aiming for, and sometimes you just need to look at the context of the film. Watch the film. What's the narrative? It's all working towards she's freaking out, having a conversation in her head kind of thing. Make that the reality. Maybe it's just, I think that's the invisible point that we're trying to get to almost, is she's in her head, she's trying to deal with grief, and she's got all these voices in her head and about her past and everything like that. And she knows she's trying to work through it and trying to figure out a way through, and it's these conversations with herself that, and her brother and her past and everything. She kind of gets to the moment and she kind of lets go in a way, and here we see, disappearing. So maybe there's something in there. So just have a think about the stories that are happening. It's almost like the music can articulate what's invisible. You can do heaps of things. So, okay, and I'm having trouble opening that last one. It's just not opening. Oh no, it's gonna happen now. Okay, looks like we've got some stems. So I'm gonna just mute all of them. Just try to make it active and drag these in. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, so I think just so if I'm like kind of trying to create things and generate, maybe if there's something in the way they've acted, I might get a sense from that, or it's like even if they're like really hitting the notes, the emotional notes with their acting, then I'm like, oh, I don't need to do it. I'm probably going to do it a little bit more in the mixing process or when I'm trying to blend it in, but kind of depends. Often I'll try and fly a bit blind a little bit because I feel like if I'm getting too much information in when I'm trying to just shoot ideas out there, it might even just limit me by making me think a certain way. Because I go blind, I think I feel like I'm going to get better ideas or just uninformed decisions, and I'm going to find just like, yeah, a little bit less restricted. But it is good to reference back as well. Also, often the video guide tracks are just going to sound kind of crappy mashup of noise, and especially when sound effects editing, it's just like,
fuck this.
Often just say noisy, and you're trying to do sound effects for, say, that moment when they hug. It's just a noisy mess. You're like, I mean, I can't edit anything to that. So I'll often wait for a guide track to come through from the dialogue editor. So when the dialogue editor's done their kind of first pass or first couple of passes, kind of where you guys are at, you can print out like a mono or a stereo temp edit of what you've done, and you can send that around to your team, and that can be something. I find that that's a bit easier to work with. Yeah. All right, so just bringing in stems. It's a bit better to have it all as just imported anyway. And it's all in time. You're not freaking anyone out. You can get it on less tracks. Oops. Just makes it a bit easier. What have we got there? Oh, another one. Look at that one as well. Anyway. So I'm just making the files look bigger and smaller, and I'm just doing that here. Or it's Option Command, the square brackets. I'll do it. Great. Piano as well. I think it fits beautifully. Oh, great. This is like got a bit more of that.
It's difficult to give my dad a fitting tribute.
You know. Also, if you're trying to mix it with video editors, don't know shit about volume levels, so they're probably not at the right level. So at least if you get your dialogue edit back, it's going to be in the ballpark as far as levels. So if you're setting your levels to that, sometimes it's blaring, sometimes it's not.
It's difficult to give my dad a fitting tribute.
So I've just turned it down 14 dB to kind of fit with it, and it's just like, and then I send it off to the mixers, and then they have to turn it back up 14 dB. So just be careful with that, maybe. I'm just going to turn it off. Nice progression. Cool, just working around, some editing around. Oh, just got a bit of the timing thing. I mean, we'll just hack this together. You know, you can even take out that note. I don't know. Just make it smooth. It's not gonna work. It's not too bad, surprisingly. Okay, and then we've lost a bit of pulse there. So just listening through. Feels like it's a bit late, maybe. I think it's my edit as well. Some of those details is a big thing in the edit. Just making sure you just checking the timing, and so things aren't tripping up. I really like that element. like that as well. It's just like slow, tense build up. I really like this. It's creating this whole sequence from here to here, and it's bringing it all together as one. It's kind of structuring it all together, which is nice. Yeah, and what I like about having all the mixes as printed stems is you can now hack into it. You're not worrying, oh, I'm going to throw off the delay of the composition bit by doing that or anything like that. You can just hack into it and treat it as like a sound object rather than a musical object. Cool. What I like about muting all of this, the other sounds as well, is you kind of get sensitive to what's, I guess, in any of the edits, like trying to flesh it all out completely. And if you've got other sounds in there, you're like, oh, it doesn't need anything in there. But sometimes you'll stumble across gold by just focusing on one element, like pretty typical of music, just working. Bit of a Resnery there's a bit of that in there. Great. Got some more textural elements as well. That's great. And like this could fit in really well because the texture kind of sit in the mix and swell the feeling behind it, and then with the picking up the vase and then at the window, it will kind of fit on top. I think they'll blend quite well together. Really good. Yeah, getting a different couple of feelings, and that's kind of what I'd try and show. It's that iterative design. Just try and get some crap out there as quick as you can, and show the director and show your team and go what's working, what's not, and you'll end up going, like, well, for me, if I was collaborating with you, I was like, really love these. Piano's good, but let's just be careful about, it feels quite deliberate. Yeah, it all fits. Just and it'll be interesting to see it with some effects to see if it softens how like you're being quite deliberate. It feels very deliberate. And really directly affecting it in a musical way. But it could work, or even elements of that. Anyway. Yeah, I'd say probably a little dry, but it also depends on the mix with other elements in there. Some good ingredients. Cool. Oh, that's not your notes. So, very tense, very haunting. I like this whole thing of building up this pressure, potentially. That's what it makes me think of, is moving all the way to her at the end here is like, boom. That's where, like, it's almost like we're building pressure from the start to the end. Maybe that's the center of the composition. Maybe it's not even about how she feels directly. Maybe it's just about sense of pressure. And sometimes, you need to have that pressure behind you to change something. Getting psychological about it. No one's going to change until the pain's great enough, kind of thing. And she's almost torturing herself with these thoughts, and it's building up, and it's like becomes really fucking intense, and it's through that intensity where it's like we have to find a way out of it, otherwise it's just going to crush us. Yeah. All dark. Cool. Great. Yeah, I like all the textures and everything. For me, it does feel a little heavy-handed. Remind me of my resistance to really happy feelings all through the score. A bit too much. It's like, is there something else? But also in the same vein, is having too much dark vibes. Are we just going to be so fatigued by the end of it? And is there other ways around it? Which is maybe where sound effects can come in. So it's just like, even in here, you know, you can build up pressure by maybe having no sound, or just being aware of pressure, and then, or maybe by turning the ambience up really loud or something like that. So we'll figure that out in the mix. But it's good, just trying all these different options as well. You know, it's all good. All right, we're at the time. We've got half an hour. If there's any questions, just yell them out, but we can go into it a little bit more. I'm just going to stay in this session just to kind of get things going. First thing I'm going to do is scenes. And then I'm going to have one VCA, one mono, one stereo. I'm just going to call it the background. Sometimes I'll have 3 background groups. So let's call this A. Background A, mono 1. Background A, stereo 1. Group them together. Background A. And we've now got our template group. So I actually have my own templates that I work with, but that's a pretty basic setup. You got your VCA, you got your mono, and you got your stereo. Sometimes if you're working in 5.1, you might have ambisonic or 5.1 channels and all of that, but like most of the sounds I import, they're all stereo and mono. I've got a scenes track. Okay, now you can just take these 3, duplicate this out. I'm going to take off group assignment so it doesn't all come back to this one. We're just going to do another one. So let's just do VFX A. FX A, mono 1, and you can even copy that and go stereo 1, something like that. Whoops. And let's just do, I'm going to do, just to save myself some time. Let's just do like 6 of them. So I'm just using these as placeholders. So wherever you see the yellow tabs, you'll have these in that group as well. But let's just go V background B, V background C. We've got effects A, B, C, D, E. What do we got? Sure. F, G. That'll do. Okay, so yeah, just remember, for each of these groups, wherever there's a yellow one, there should be 2 underneath it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just doing one for background and one for effects, just for ease. It'll take me all day. You guys don't need to sit through that. So this VCA now controls everything in that group for the edit. And, you know, if I just want to send that group, I can. And it's going to just go straight across to, you know, if I'm sending the backgrounds across, I can. You know, background B. Okay, effects A. So let's just go group this. V, effects A. Put that there. And that one's working as well. And I always untick this. So aside from just like grouping things and getting a visual reference for where things are, when you get into the mix, you've got this VCA here and you've got all of these sounds in this group here. One of the very, very final stages of mixing is just like maybe just dipping little bits of ambience and all that. I do it with backgrounds heaps. Got it all laid up, but then maybe you just say, okay, you've got all your backgrounds laid up, and then we're going to try and suck it out to this moment here. Backgrounds are in loud, and when I want them to slowly disappear. I'm not going to do that in the edit. I'm just going to lay up all the background so it all feels right. It's all full. And then the final stage of mixing, I can just go like this, and it's going to do that to every single track underneath it. So it's kind of a bit more of a final stage. And then even with that, I'll often do, especially with dialogue, I'll do passes at it, but you can coalesce VCA and we'll bring it all down, and then you've got your VCA free again. So then you can go, oh, well, maybe I just went a little bit too hard there, and maybe let's just soften the next scene and coalesce that in. Listen, and then you can even do more little tweaks there, you know. I find that that's quite helpful. All right, then I'll just kind of, I can use this as a bit of as a way to kind of structure what I'm going to try for the edit. So in the master mix, you're going to have dialogue tracks all up here as their own group, and I put down the bottom all the music tracks as their own group. So this is just effects, and also just I'm going to have, let's just call the Foley. Let's just go A. You can name this in different ways. Let's go 2 more. B. See, this is all in the territory of the sound effects editor. All right, so maybe in this one, maybe C is just going to be room tones, which is kind of like if you go into a room and turn absolutely everything off, turn the air conditioner off, turn the birds outside off, just turn everything out, and it's just like that dead air. And different rooms can kind of set that. It's not being too descriptive or anything like that. Maybe that's just what we're left with in the scene. So let's just do a whole pass of the whole film. In background C, it's just going to be room tones. Background B is maybe spots, and background A is ambiences. Okay, so ambience is going to be like, you know, we've got general ambience all the way through of out in the countryside, and really try and just focus that in as much as you can, you know, inside the house. Spots might be a little bit more like, okay, there's a little bit of wind in the background there, so maybe articulating little bits of wind, but maybe the wind is hitting the house and it's an old house, so maybe we're getting a couple of creaks in there as well. If creaks is going to be a major part of it, we maybe put that as its own group. So maybe in background B is just house creaks. Creak? Yep. Okay, then let's go, I'm going to put effects. I'm just going to do a whole thing. Effects A is going to be elemental, so winds, water. Is there any of those moments? And she's quite emotional. You know, you can use that metaphor. It's becoming can be a bit tropey, but water, emotion, all that kind of thing. But there's a lot of wind happening all the way through here, and when she's running down the hill at the end, you know, we're in pine forest, and you know, we can really try and maximize on that. Spots, maybe just wildlife, that kind of thing. All right, let's see what else we've got. Okay, there's a doors, vehicle. Maybe we can articulate vehicle. There's only one there, and at the end as well. So maybe if it's not everywhere, maybe put them all as one. So that one's tools and vehicles. Okay. We've got food and drink. I often just have one called objects. So if she's moving around a whole heap of stuff, just objects and objects B. Some people put sweeteners down, which is like, you know, she opens a door. When she goes to storm outside. Here, opens the door. So you got the clang of the door, but maybe there's a squeak on it as well. So the squeak, I'll put as sweeteners potentially. Sometimes I put it as all as one group. Okay, there's water. So by having, when she's doing that in the sink, just having water as its own as elements in here, you're just going to really focus on getting that feeling quite right. You can even have a group. I'll have a group maybe in there as internal, or structural, or it's kind of like whooshes, or it's like almost like composition. So it's like me as a sound effects editor going, okay, she's feeling tense. It often might even go into elemental, but maybe it's just, if you're just thinking about how she's feeling internally, like maybe here, she's sitting here and she's feeling quite peaceful. Maybe you have wind chimes or something like that. Or maybe you can have a scraping metal. It's like, basically it's your, let's just try some shit that might not work at all. And the director might just totally get it and say, that's awesome. Or go all in that direction. You can even just call this like David Lynch. Like, it's just sounds that just directly hit the emotion. It doesn't necessarily make sense. Could be internal, could be structural, it could be like whooshes, it could be a boom on the Happy Memories. I think it could be a little bit not on point, on brand, but boom, or maybe it's like a whoosh that kind of gives a sense of structure. Or even I think that these are all different kind of narrative levels. What else have we got? Okay. More and more, I'm bringing whatever's recorded in Foley up into my effects groups, and then I'll sweeten it even more with some sound effects library or sounds that I've recorded. Foley, you might get, say, footsteps all in one group. In a feature, I might have like 6 Foley groups, footsteps for main and footsteps for background people, incidentals, Foley, just maybe objects, and spots, or what do they call it? Spots. Yeah, I think spots. And Foley C is cloth, Russell. I'm going to talk about those a little bit later. But as you can see, so in Foley, often in my mixes, the way I prefer it is basically I've just got A and C, and then objects here. I'll integrate this up into a variety of groups. Maybe I'll have like DE, might be 4 or 5 groups, all with different things that are happening. Kind of a bit more, probably a bit more historically, they'll keep it, all the Foley separate, and then they'll kind of blend between all of them. There might even be one more group called effects, even called, let's just call it BP effects. So that's all of the effects that you've brought over from your dialogue edit. And I'll probably put that up there or above, just underneath the dialogue. But I'll probably mix the PFX as quick as I can. All right, I've got 15 minutes. Got to smash this. So I use SoundMiner. Oh man, I haven't scanned this for a while. Hope it's working. 666,000 sounds there. Scenes track. I do this before I do background to edit. I'll show you just a little bit of it. Grid. One frame nudge. I just made an entire group there. So select the whole video down with semicolon and P. You can move up and down. Option, Command G, make a group. Outside, 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 inside. So using the arrow, the next to M and P, M will do bigger skipping, nudging, and the comma, full stop will move around slower, 1 frame at a time. That's your nudge up here. And I'm just going to go, I only want to cut the ends of scenes once. So that's the scene before, that's the scene after, cut. All inside, 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 inside. Yep. Boom, there. Imagine having to do this every single file, every single background that you put in, all of this. This can be a really quick way to, okay, so I've just called that void, basically. And next scene. you know, you might have ambiences crossing over all through this and all of that. This is just kind of get us some quick building blocks as quick as we can. Inside, we've also got outside, the outside door, but it's within the scene and it gets a bit tricky to kind of do, so I'm not going to do that. Inside still. Inside. I'm going to put that as hallway just so we can get, because this is pretty still, sometimes just changing the backgrounds a little bit might just keep a subtle sense of change. Okay, and outside I'm not going to do yep, to that. 1, 2, next scene, cool. And I'll just get to the end of this scene. Yep. Okay, then we're in the bedroom. I will often, I mean, if I'm doing a big film and it's a locked off image, I will even name them, you know, outside, inside, and you can be descriptive. Once I've done all of that, I'll select all of them, and I just gotta think about where it is. Clip, lock, time lock, edit lock. So now you'd have the whole entire film. You can just basically go click, and you know what I've selected here is the very, very first frame of the scene to the very, very end of the scene. It can be a really good way to get your background started. So let's just get some things going. Country. You know, it might be right. Now remember, we're trying to keep everything pretty consistent. We're trying to create a sense of the entire film all over, but that might be, whoops. So remember, we're duplicating that one out. Do it like that. Now I've actually recorded, hopefully I've got them here. So these are some ambiences that I recorded for this film. I can send them to you if you want. These are B format. All right, so let's go for 1, 2, 3. Quad. Okay, and this is the problem where you're gonna like, oh man. Backgrounds, modify. Want to add audio 1 to background, so now that's a part of the group. Yep, cool. There's a free plugin called Soundfield by Rode. So I'm using, I think for this film I wasn't using a Rode, I was using the Soundfield mic, but I'm going to go quad to stereo. Okay, then you can set the output. With the recorder, it's good to, this is Ambi B format, so you just figure out what format you're in, B format, firma. And then when I go to import this in, that's my cousin's big shed. What I love about this program is get a really good pitching algorithm. If you hear things as you're doing any other group, like that's a fucking awesome sound. Okay, it might not be in Elementor, it'll probably be in shit, where am I going to put it? Okay, let's just say that was down in this one, Lynch. You might just hear it and you go sick. Let's just copy that in. Command S goes in, and I'm going to put that like right on the heading or something like that. Boom. One quick editing trick I try and do is I use the start of the file. He's dragging this around. It's basically scrubbing the video. Okay. And then I'll even use nudge. Okay, so I know exactly where that is. Right on that moment there is where the heading comes in. Then I'm going to drag this over. I can still see, you can see right there at the start of the file, it's staying there, the shadow of it. And I can drag it straight up, boom, and I know that's in place. Anyway, so yeah, if you digress, you know, that's fine. It's like where shit's gonna happen. Abandoned house. So this is out past. If you look up Fletcher's Lake, in Denton, it's like this huge salt lake. It's quite beautiful. That's almost like a room tone. It's just so empty, but it kind of feels quite good. So you just drag that in there. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna cut that back. This might be a thing that I can use all the way through. Okay, now we've got all these files, and maybe I'm just gonna lay up another one maybe. Let's just do country birds. Okay, cool. Let's just chuck that in, and I'm just going bang, place it in. Too big. So instead of every time you're doing each, I'll always take off a few frames at the start and drag it up. So if you need to kind of extend it out that little bit. So sometimes if you go to the end of the scene and you've cut it, and if the very last frame is that one frame, but say you go, oh, we're going into darkness into that next scene. Maybe we just want to ease it off rather than cut it off hard. So always try and have enough frames afterwards. You got it there. Okay, so we just got all it. We just plonked in like 10 sounds, whatever. I'd probably go 10, and then you can select. Make your selection on your scenes track. Down, down, down. Select that. Shift, down, down. Command T, and we'll just trim it all into place. Then just give it a quick balance. Cool. That's not all I'll do. Okay, so I've done that, great. And then you can start duplicating tracks out underneath and keep going. Where I've got no time left. The final thing I'll do always is fades. So backgrounds, fade, 1 frame. So if you're in grid, 1 frame, and nudge, 1 frame. And you select up and go over 1 frame. So it should sound like always as a starting point, and you can smooth these out later. Where we go inside, I'm just going to get sound in there. This was so good. It's out in like this desolate farm. It's so fucked. Full of erosion, but there was this bush that was kind of talking to me. I was having like a moment. The doors moment. Alright, oh, that was, so I just put that on stereo, which is fine, but I'm actually going to duplicate this quad out and chuck that in. Yeah, so that's in place. And then, oh no, we're out. You can actually just copy and paste. Bit of fade. Okay, so tab will just kind of bring you up to the next scene. So bang, I just know that that's going to be where that is. Cool. So you should hand it over probably like that and then have a void, but then, sometimes it's going to bring attention to itself. So maybe you delete the void and you just have this going over the top and slowly fading into the next scene. A bit more like that. But I'll do that probably more in a second pass. I always try and go a bit more cutty and then smooth it out later. All right, so we're going between the scenes. I'd probably go 10 and then delete some. Throw heaps of stuff out on the table, see what happens, and then start to delete stuff. Cool. Often these will sound really subby. You might not be able to do it there. It's a bit better. Cool. So that's how I deliver it. 1 frame up, 1 frame down. And then if you really, really want to, if it's, there you go, I haven't done it here. So you can't open it up and do the fade. So copy that. Okay, and then you can at least fade it out like that. And maybe you want to ease it in and out a little bit more. All right, See that? Oh, man, I hate that. It sounds so apologetic, and it's just like, I reckon it sounds kind of crap. So I always go 1 frame. You know, we're jumping. The thing I should be aware of is this one. No, it's this one. There's a sound in the background. Yeah, see the bird's right on the cut. So I'll probably just try and avoid that, and you won't bring attention to it. All right, that's kind of ambiences. And spots would just be little bits in here. You know, maybe you hear like a bit of the tree rustle. You might hear a crow. That's kind of like a spot in amongst it, but ambiences might just be, you know, a bit of spots all through it as well. And then maybe like a wind chimes. Just throw anything you can think of in there. Just like wind chimes might be perfect. And actually, I think there was wind chimes in the end. Cool. Then you're inside the house. All right. I'm just gonna quickly jump back across, and we'll go.